Hello, welcome back to Core Skills for Humans. We're so glad you're here. This is Volume 3, The Skillful and Safe Self. If you wonder why we've been talking about safety in the last two videos, it's because that fight or flight response, aka the amygdala response, is essentially a safety circuit in your brain. It is triggered each time we perceive a threat. In Volume 2, we focused on keeping our dialogue partner feeling safe. Now, let's look at 3 steps we can take to recover our own safety and show up more skillfully in any conversation. Step 1 is to notice. How can you tell you're in fight or flight mode? That your safety circuit has been triggered? It's different for everyone. Maybe you already know exactly how you typically respond, and maybe you don't. The clearest clue is that we usually feel something. Angry, disappointed, hurt, sick, sweaty. It shows up differently for each of us, so the trick is to tune into what your fight or flight response feels like. Do you feel it in your body? A knot in your stomach, sweaty palms, a flushed face? What emotions do you experience? Do you feel annoyed, provoked, overwhelmed, inadequate? If you don't already know how you experience your fight or flight response, start observing, both in the moment that it's happening, which gets easier the more we practice, and in hindsight, like a post-game analysis. Either way, consider what cues signal your safety circuit is at work. It's a good idea to make some notes in a journal, in a calendar, wherever is convenient, just to help keep track of what we're discovering. Step 2 is to pause. Once we notice the reaction, we want to interrupt it. Chances are our reaction is a well-worn neural pathway, a groove that is easy to fall into over and over again. A single path in the woods is easy to follow, but when we follow it, we always end up in the same place. In order to create a new path, we have to stop and look around for a new route, building a neural pathway and a response. As we mentioned in Volume 1, a deep breath is the simplest and most effective way to pause. Shall we take a moment to practice the deep breath? I know, everyone knows how to breathe, right? But the most effective deep breath starts in the belly, which expands out like a bellows on the inhale, and then contracts as we push our navel to our spine on the exhale. Each phase, the inhale and the exhale, takes several seconds, and the air passes through our nose rather than our mouth for both. Why not pause the video here and try it yourself? Along with the breath, we've found 2 more strategies to be helpful. 1, we can use our inner dialogue to talk ourselves out of our conditioned response. We shared an example of that in Volume 1 as well. And sometimes, it's best to physically distance ourselves from the moment. Say to step away while we breathe, in order to interrupt our reaction and create real space. There are many ways to use our words to ask for the timeout we need. For example, this is an important conversation. I could use a few moments to collect my thoughts. Can we take a quick break and reconvene in 10 minutes? Now, here's a pro tip. The pause, like everything, takes practice. And it's easiest to practice the pause when we are not in the middle of an amygdala response. How do we practice pausing? A little bit of quiet, undistracted time each day, maybe several times a day, certainly helps. Some people meditate or have other contemplative practices, but practicing the pause can be as simple as regularly doing just one thing at a time. Just walk, just prepare dinner, just stretch, just fold the laundry, with no background music or media content, no other distractions. In Volume 1, we talked about how modern life can lead to amygdala overload. Reducing the number of sensory inputs to one thing at a time can create an effective pause even if we're not sitting still on a meditation cushion. It may feel weird or uncomfortable at first, but that's a sure sign that the practice is definitely building a new neural pathway. Good job. Practicing the pause helps us build stronger present moment awareness and helps us react more skillfully when our safety circuit has been triggered. In step 3, we get curious. This is our chance to play detective. It's time to ask, I wonder what triggered my amygdala response in that situation. Here are some open-ended questions to ask yourself during and after your pause. In the moment, during the pause, we may ask, what story am I telling myself? We touched on the idea of sorting the facts from the stories in Volume 2. Let's ask ourselves, what is the story my brain has created for me, and what are the actual facts? Another question might be, how might my negativity bias be at work? Where am I on Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Is something unrelated to this moment the real reason my safety circuit has been triggered? Later, when we reflect on what happened, we may ask, what made me feel unsafe in that moment? What familiar feelings do I recognize? Discomfort can be a sign that you found a topic worth exploring if you are ready to do so. Asking these questions with non-judging awareness helps build insight, awareness, and growth. Did you hear what I said there? Non-judging awareness. This inquiry is a time to be curious, not judgmental. Let's not criticize ourselves for the work of our safety circuit or a less than skillful response in the moment. Instead, let's try to figure out where it comes from. What was our unmet need in the moment? What conditioning, or events and experiences from the past, might have contributed to our behavior? What's the goal? We're trying to show up more skillfully in a conversation as our best selves so that we can hear and be heard and come to the best solutions with a minimum of extra energy. When we understand how our brains and bodies work, the thoughts and physiological reactions we observe become clues, data, insight into what's impacting our behavior and what we can do about it. When we understand ourselves and communicate skillfully with others, we have mastered the core skills that make everything easier. Thank you for spending time with us. We know these first 3 videos are full of content. Let us know in the comments below which topics you'd like us to explore briefly but in greater depth. And subscribe if you want to know when new content comes out from Core Skills for Humans.